Idma kavir vibodvishad Sudevo rochanodvishad Tosha pratosha santosho Badra shanti Badra shanti Idma kavir vibosvanaha Sudevo rochanodvishad Tosha pratosha santosho Badra shanti Idma kavir vibhusvanaha Sudevo rochanodvisat Tosha pratosha santosho Badra shanti Sudevo rochanodvisat Tosha pratosha santosho Badra shanti ridaspatihi Idma kavir vibhusvanaha Sudevo rochanodvisat Tosha pratosha santosho Badra shanti ridaspatihi Idma kavir vibhusvanaha Sudevo rochanodvisat Mataris Tosha pratosha santosho Badra shanti ridaspatihi Idma kavir vibhusvanaha Sudevo rochanodvisat Tosha pratosha santosho Badra shanti ridaspatihi Idma kavir vibhusvanaha Sudevo rochanodvisat. Word translation, please repeat. Toshaha, Tosha, Pratoshaha, Pratosha, Santoshaha, Santosha, Badraha, Badra, Shantihi, Shanti, Idaspatihi, Idaspati, Idmaha, Idma, Kavihi, Kavi, Vibhu, Vibhu, Swanaha, Swana, Sudevaha, Sudeva, Rochanaha, Rochana, Dvishad, 12. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, by Ghanashyam Govinda, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. The 12 boys born of Yajna and Dakshina were named Tosha, Pratosha, Santosha, Badra, Shanti, Idaspati, Idma, Kavi, Vibhu, Swana, Sudeva, and Rochana. There is no purport for this text. I'll read the next one. Tushita namate deva hasan swayambhuvantare marichi mishra rishayo yajna suraganeshvaraha. Translation. During the time of Swayambhuva Manu, the sons all became the demigods, collectively named the Tushitas. Marichi became the head of the 7 rishis, and Yajna became the king of the demigods, Indra. During the life of Swayambhuva Manu, 6 kinds of living entities were generated from the demigods, known as Tushitas, from the sages headed by Marichi, and from descendants of Yajna, king of the demigods, and all of them expanded their progeny to observe the order of the Lord to fill the universe with living entities. These 6 kinds of living entities are known as Manus, Devas, Manuputras, Amsavataras, Sureshwaras, and Rishis. Yajna, being the incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, became the leader of the demigods, Indra. ओम ज्ञानतिमिरन्दस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतापदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातां सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। मुखां करोति वाचालं पङ्गुं लङ्घयते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्येश्वरम्। ॐ तत्सत्। Hare Krishna. I'll read the translation again. The 12 boys born of Yajna and Dakshina were named Tosha, Pratosha, Santosha, Bhadra, Shanti, Idaspati, Idma, Kavi, Vibhu, Swana, Sudeva, and Rochana. During the time of Swayambhuva Manu, these sons all became the demigods, collectively named the Tusitas. Marichi became the head of the 7 rishis, and Yajna became the king of the demigods, Indra. Chapter title: Genealogical Table of the Daughters of Manu. Hare Krishna. So today we are going to discuss on this chapter about the genealogical table of a specific daughter of Manu, which is Akuti. Bhagavatam, if we see, it is supposed to be the text of God, and it is the text about God. Prabhupada would often say, Supreme Lord is not alone. There is a famous pastime of Srila Prabhupada. Once one of the BBT artists, he drew a beautiful artwork of Krishna. Krishna seated on one of the forests of Vrindavan and looking a little sad. They brought this artwork to Srila Prabhupada, very wonderful piece of artwork. Prabhupada, when he looked at it, he asked, why is Krishna sad? Then the devotee who drew, he explained that Krishna was feeling separation from his devotees, that's why he is sad. Prabhupada brushed it aside and saying, that is speculation. Krishna is never sad. So the devotee who drew this got a little upset and started to cry. Then Prabhupada pacified, don't worry, we can use the same artwork for another pastime, when Krishna has headache. So Krishna is always happy. Prasannavadanam dhyayet sarvo prasannavadanam sarva vignopashantaye. He is always smiling. This morning I was reading the pastime of Vamanadev. When Vamanadev appeared, he appeared in 400 form of Vishnu, which is his original form. And he was happily lying down and smiling. Everyone who looked at him, they felt happy. Not only everyone who looked at him, literally Every living entity, when he appeared, were happy. So when we read this text, which gives this unending list of someone's family history, we may be wondering, how is this related to Krishna? How is this even making its place in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam? This is okay. In some places you will find the names of the demons. What has that got to do with pure devotional service, you may think. But actually, Prabhupada would quote Chanakya Pandit that devotees are always expert in using the most valuable thing, even if it is found in a filthy place. Chanakya Pandit would say, if you find gold in a filthy place, you have to take, you can wash and you can still use it. It doesn't lose its value. So same way, even demons who are there, they have certain glorious qualities. If you take Hiranyakashipu, for example, when Vamanadev comes to meet Bali Maharaj, just to give you a bit of a history, Bali Maharaj, he takes the blessings of the descendants of Bhrigu, and then he goes straight to conquer Indraloka, Indra. And when he goes there, and he sees a beautiful city of Indrapuri being protected by fort on all the sides, there is description that there are 100 million airplanes which were used by demigods. You may see in movies sometimes, either some war movies or even the most recent ones, you will see some fighter jets would go and they would drop bombs. When Bali Maharaj goes through Indraloka, this is what he sees. This is the description that's given. He was greeted by 100 million airplanes. But then Indra, when he comes to know about Bali Maharaj coming with so much army power, he goes to his spiritual master, Brihaspati, and he asks, what should I do? And then Brihaspati tells him that Bali Maharaj, he is currently under the protection and blessings of the Brahmanas, which will never go in vain. So you're definitely very weak to fight him at this point of time. So you have to bid your time. So then all the demigods, they decide not to fight, taking the instruction of their guru. Demigods, they are endowed with the potency to change to any form they like. So all the demigods, they change to different form and they mingle with the crowd. So when Bali Maharaj comes looking for Indra, he could see nobody. He would only see all the citizens of the heavenly kingdom. So Bali Maharaj goes and occupies the post, unopposed. Now suddenly he has become Indra, but in order to retain that position of being the king of the demigods, the descendants of Bhrigu, who's mentioned here, they ask him, somehow you have made it to the top post, but to retain this position, the rule is you have to do 100 Ashwamedha Yajna. Without that, nobody is qualified to sit here permanently, at least during the duration of Indra's reign. So then Bali Maharaj starts to do the Ashwamedha Yajna. In order to break that, Vamanadev comes to the arena and then he asks for the alms. In a day of Lord Brahma, Vamanadev comes 3 times, and all 3 times when he comes, he does the same pastime of begging. Somebody asked me recently, we sometimes see Vamanadev being in heavenly kingdom. What is the form of Vamanadev? Is he always in the form of a dwarf, Brahmana? No. When Vamanadev was born, he was born with Shankha Chakra Kada Padma, normal 400 Vishnu form, Chaturbhuja form, but then right in the front of the eyes of his parents, which is Kashyapa and Aditi, he changes to a dwarf Brahmana. And then you will see description of different demigods coming and giving him different paraphernalia. Like begging bowl is given by Kuvera. First Bhiksha is given by Bhagavati. Bhagavati is name of Bhavani. Bhagavati, Sati means most chaste. Bhagavati means wife of Bhava or Lord Shiva. Ambika is also used. Ambika means mother of the whole universe. So she comes and gives. Likewise, everyone gives different paraphernalia to him, and then he goes to the arena of Bali Maharaj. When he goes to the arena of Bali Maharaj, he glorifies Bali Maharaj. First Bali Maharaj greets him, and then Vamana Dev glorifies valuable things. Even if it is found in a filthy place, is still worthy of taking and using it in Krishna service. So he goes and he tells, you come in a great lineage of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. Hiranyaksha was a great warrior. How chivalrous was he? He used to wield his gata, which is club, and he used to wander everywhere, different parts of the universe, challenging the different heroes single-handedly. He was never flanked by anyone. No army came for his aid. He was going around and single-handedly defeating everyone. And Vamanadev says, without revealing his identity, that it took none other than the Supreme Lord himself to come down as Varahadev, and he gave such a big fight. Varahadev, after killing him, he felt victorious. He felt like, yep, that was a good fight and I won it. Vamanadev says it like that. So here we can actually see during the time of Swayambhava Manu, each one of these sons of Yajna and Dakshina, who we saw, they are the partial incarnation of the Supreme Lord. And by the way, Vamanadev's wife, she is also Lakshmi ji, her name is Kirti Devi. So Vamanadev is, as we speak, he is there with Indra, brother of Indra, and being served by all the demigods there. When you read these texts, you will see when somebody becoming demigod or being king, and they actually follow a certain principle, there is a certain rule. If you rewind back to your early days of childhood, I remember when I was a child, my uncle was in college and he never used to go. So when I was in school, I used to think I have to grow up soon, so one day I can join the college and then I don't need to go every day. And to encourage me, my aunt also would tell me, see, if you grow up, see, he just sits here, watches TV, that's all you can do. And that used to be such a great inspiration for me. When will I grow? And then finally I made it. And then when you come to college, guess what the parents tell you then? You have to study properly, otherwise you won't get a job. And then you get a job. I remember finally going to college, and one day I was speaking to my friends. You know, my parents always used to compare me with others. Why are you like this? Look at the other kids in the family, in your neighborhood. How beautiful they are, how studious they are, how well behaved they are. When I said this to my friends, one of my friends told me, interesting, even my parents used to tell me the same. Which means no kid is actually acting proper. Everyone goes through the same phase. But then, after you actually go to work, you think, let me work for how long? Until I come to a point when I make enough money so I don't need to work. So nobody works because they are passionate about doing work. Everyone works because they want to stop working. So always you will see at different stages in our life, there is some principle that is pushing us. When you are young, when you are a student, you are supposed to study. When you grow up, go to uni, then you are supposed to work. And after you work, then there is a family, you have to take care of the kids. And then you grow old, your parents will grow old, you have to take care of them. No position seems to be immune from any principle, any rule. And we may think, why is Krishna making it this way. Prabhupada says in one place, Krishna designed this world in such a way, it acts based on a certain principle. Maya Dakshina Prakriti Suyate Characharam Hetunanina Kauntaya Jagat Viparivartate. And Prabhupada says, why is Krishna putting all those rules? How many of you had this doubt? Why can't just Krishna gives us mercy straight away and take us back to Godhead? Why do we have to wake up every single day, chant the same number of rounds? Sometimes it feels as if even Krishna is bound by rules, correct? Even Krishna has to do everything. Krishna has to go to school. Even to, if he wants to snatch something from someone, Krishna can just go pick it up. But you see in the case of Vamanadev, he is following rules and regulations very strictly. How many of you felt, whenever you come across, you are very interested in reading Srimad Bhagavatam until the prayer session starts? How many of you feel, okay, now it's going to be very strong philosophy? How many of you feel that way? All of us. Those who didn't put the hand up, they are lying. Everyone feels that way. So, if you want to read a section where the prayers are really, really short, there's only 3 prayers. You can go read the section of Payavrata worship. Even the Payavrata process, originally it was given by Lord Brahma to Narada Muni. Brahma gives it to Kashyapa actually. Brahma's son is Marichi, Marichi's son is Kashyapa. So he gives that. Only 12 days you need to do this tapasya, even in Satyayuga. And the main thing there is, you have to drink milk every day. That's the only thing you are allowed to consume. Rest of the time, you are supposed to do worship. And Prabhupada says, we have already given, why only 12 days? We have already given arrangement for 365 days a year, 24/7. So whoever does deity worship, they will also get the same benefit as Payavrata worship. In 12 days, Aditi sees Supreme Lord. When she sees Supreme Lord, she offers only 3 prayers. You can read that section. I was reading, this is the most merciful section of the whole Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Supreme Lord appears, Brahma comes. Normally you read section when demigods come at the time of appearance of the Supreme Lord, they will come and they offer dozens of prayers. Again Brahma comes, he offers 3 prayers only. I was thinking this is the most merciful section of the entire Srimad Bhagavatam in terms of stories. There is totally only 3 prayers that's recited by Aditi before Supreme Lord, and there's 3 prayers by Brahma offered to Vamanadev, and that's it. There's no other prayers. He just moves so fast. Anyway, coming back to the point about principle. When Vamanadev appears, he can just go there. Normally, if you see, why does even Supreme Lord, when he is beyond all the rules and regulations, he can just go take whatever that he likes. But here you see, Vamanadev, when he actually appears, in fact, even before appearing, he tells to Aditi that Bali Maharaj is currently protected by the blessings of the Brahmanas. So now is not the time it's not wise for us to go fight with them. Supreme Lord himself says, when you come across sections like that, it feels as if he is even bound by the rules. And then he says, there is another way to conquer him. But now is not the time. He will, due to the influence of time, come to a point when he will offend the Brahmanas. And he does. Who does he offend? Shukracharya. Later you will see. At that time he will lose all his opulences, then demigods will get everything back. But even to instigate that whole process, you will see again Supreme Lord taking the form of a dwarf Brahmana and going and asking Bhiksha, which is generally not considered a very noble profession. Kshatriyas, generally if you see, if somebody comes to challenge them to fight, they should not refuse them to fight. Prabhupada says, if they do that, then they are going against their dharma. Kshatriya, if somebody challenges, they are supposed to fight back. Likewise, if a Brahmana asks something in charity, a Kshatriya is supposed to give them back something. So here, Supreme Lord, he comes, he is usually used to fighting. In every avatar, if you see, he fights. Matsya, he didn't even have to take a human form to fight. Even when he's in fish form, he fights. Varahadev form fights. Parshuram, needless to say, fights. Lord Ram, Krishna. Everywhere you will see he just goes, gets whatever he wants. But in this particular instance, you will see he actually acts to tell to the whole world how powerful blessings of Brahmanas is. Namo Brahmane Devaya Go Brahmana Hitayasha. Why one should be serving the Brahmanas. Principle. Why is principle so important? Imagine when you get initiation, your spiritual master gives you the beads and tells, okay, sit and chant. How many rounds? As you like. Will I get any benefit out of it? Maybe. Do you think we'll feel inspired to chant? Principle, whenever you come across this word principle, rules, regulations, you read predictability. It gives you predictable results. Principle of gravity, you throw something up. Imagine if principle of gravity is applying or it holds true only on certain time and circumstance, a certain place and certain situation. You will be scared even to throw your car key up, correct? If you don't know whether it's going to go up, it will come back or not. Even people won't even play ball. I can kick, I don't know whether it will come back or not. Understand? Any principle, devotional principle. So here, when we actually take up bhakti, we are taught about the principles. Principle here, as I said, whenever you come across rules, regulations, principles, you understand predictable outcome. So for us to understand, for us to be able to get that predictable result, we have to go through this principle only. We have to go through this certain rule and regulation only. There's no other way. If we want to be random, then the result also will be random. To the extent that we are strict with the rules and regulations, to the extent that we are strict with the principles, with the process, to that extent we will get predictable results. In fact, that's what qualifies bhakti as a science. Science means you do an experiment, every time you do, you need to get a result which is measurable and repeatable, observable also. You should be able to see the effect of it tangibly. It cannot be based on some mystical process. Prabhupada never insisted on mystical process. So you will see when Krishna comes, Yat Yat Acharati Steshas. When Supreme Lord Rama comes, when Supreme Lord even taking the position of Indra, when even his sons take the positions of demigods, each one of them you see carefully, they'll follow the rules and regulations, because the only way to do good to humanity is by teaching everyone how the principle of this world operates. Gross as well as subtle, mental, physical as well as spiritual. We cannot expect to do stupid things in life and expect an extraordinary, wonderful outcome. It never works that way. Krishna didn't create this world that way. So right from Brahma, if you see, Brahma also does Achaman. And here also if you have to qualify as a Brahmana, you have to do Achaman again to purify yourself. Brahma recites mantra. We are also taught to recite mantra. Prabhupada says Brahma is the original Brahmana and all the descendants become Brahmana. So everyone, right from Brahma all the way to people in human life and even below, everyone has to follow a certain rule. No rule, no predictable result. In fact, without any rule, without following any principle, our whole life will become useless because you don't know which way we are going. So that's why sometimes we are caught between following the rules versus using sentiment. We always like to believe because we are chanting Hare Krishna, somehow Krishna will make up for our lack of application of intelligence. We use sentiment where reasoning is supposed to be used. We follow the sentiment, go along a certain path. Krishna will still reciprocate, seated within our heart, saying like, hey, don't go here, this is really not good. How many of you have that experience? And you still take that leap of faith, things don't go your way, and you blame Krishna at the end. And we are worried about, or rather, we are so upset that Krishna didn't favor us and we get upset with Krishna. No, Krishna created this world. Krishna has given us his siksha. Krishna has given us instructions, guidance, intelligence. Krishna reveals from within. As Chaitya Guru, Krishna gives association of devotees who can actually tell us also, who will tell us also. Krishna teaches us Trinada Pisunichana, everything he teaches us how to go and accept the mercy that actually comes in whatever way, shape, form. Still, if we are too proud, we will definitely get cheated. Prabhupada would often say, my magic is not mystical. You know this famous story. Once when P.C. Sarkar, he comes to Kolkata temple. He is a famous magician. Even his son is a magician. Even now, he comes and he performs a lot of magic, literally pulling out things from thin air, pulling a watch out of nowhere, out of nothing rather, and then he presents charming Prabhupada. And then Prabhupada, he asks, Swamiji, did I entertain you? Prabhupada says, yes, that was really good. And then Prabhupada says, Sarkarji, do you know the magic? You have vanished many things. Do you know the magic of making birth, death, old age and disease vanish? Then P.C. Sarkar says, oh Swamiji, I don't know about that magic. Prabhupada says, that's my magic, I know how to do that. So Prabhupada's emphasis is not on mysticism. Mysticism means principle goes out of the way, reasoning goes out of the way, predictability goes out of the way. Does that make sense? So Shastras, when we read, we should not be looking for some magic there. When I read this, I want to suddenly manifest Chaturbuja form. And then what? Hold the 4 beads in each of the hand. And then sleep with all the 4 heads. We always tend to believe, let me just use my intelligence only to a certain extent, and after that we want magic. Because we are too much in a hurry to go and choose things, to make choice based on what gives me instant happiness. I'm not ready to follow the path of principle to get a predictable result. Anything in mode of goodness, according to universal principle, anything in mode of goodness will take time for us to attain. Anything that comes quick, make no mistake, definitely it is work of Maya. Rarely it will be work of Krishna. Do we think we are advanced enough for Krishna to reciprocate with us as much as he did with the gopis, as much as he did with the pure devotees? We'll be quick to deny that. Nevertheless, when we are put to test, we'll always put our reasoning and logic to the back burner, and we like to go with the sentiment, expecting Krishna to show us some special favor. Prabhupada would often say, Western religion, the problem Prabhupada would say is, they are too much dependent on just confessing and not so much on repenting. You go confess and we feel, okay, I have emptied my basket of sins, and now even before little repentance comes in, the basket starts to fill. Another 7 days finish again. So Prabhupada says, with that arrangement we can never make progress. Once one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada, after getting initiated, what if I don't chant? Prabhupada didn't even allow the devotee to finish sentence, chastising him back. What kind of a gentleman are you if you can't even keep the promise? And then Prabhupada says, you may sometimes do some mistake, once, twice. Krishna may forgive. But if you think I'll keep on doing mistake and then hoping that Krishna will always forgive me, Prabhupada says Krishna doesn't like that arrangement. Why? If you do the same mistake once, okay, you can say to every human, 2 times, alright, you did a mistake again. 3rd time, 4th time, 10 times, 20 times means it's no longer a mistake, it's a habit, correct? Habit means then you need to go through the law of karma again. Predictability. Law of karma also works in a predictable way, irrespective of whether we are chanting 16 rounds or not. Many times we like to take a rule in the Shastra and we stretch it. Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Apasampradaya starts when you take the extraordinary activity of a very elevated soul and try to make it as a norm. There may be some Babaji, let's say, who didn't observe some fasting, let's say Ekadashi, because they are so much engrossed in chanting Hare Krishna. Now we take that, if we try to make that as a norm and we try to make a philosophy out of it, then Apasampradaya starts, which means we are now starting to cause disturbance, not only for us, but for other people. So what Prabhupada has given is a process that is made of Vedic principles. The more strictly we align with that, the more sincerely we try to follow that, more predictable our answers will be, more predictable the outcome will be. The more we put our logic and reasoning into following those rules and regulations, more happier our life will be. On the other hand, if we put our intelligence to the back burner and we take it up, thinking I'll try to do as long as I like, and then whenever I start to feel bored or I lose my inspiration, I'll hope Krishna will somehow make up for what I lack. Krishna will do, but for Krishna to reciprocate with us to the level that we expect, first we need to win his favor. Prabhupada says, in the beginning stages of bhakti, if somebody is taking up Krishna bhakti and they'd like to wander, Krishna just lets them go. Because Krishna doesn't like to interfere with the free will of the jiva. So in the beginning stage, we have Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti. Until you go to Nishta, we have to work very, very hard. He's known as Bhakti Rasamrita Maharaj, he gives the analogy. It's like climbing up a hill. So we have Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti, Nishta. Nishta is like the pinnacle of that. Once you go Nishta, he says from that point onwards, it's very easy. It's a downward slope only. To progress in bhakti. Nishta, Ruchi, Ashakti, Bhava, Brahma will come very fast. But from where we are, from Shraddha to go all the way to Nishta, it's an uphill task. First of all, we ourselves don't like to go. Second, Krishna doesn't like to force also. That's another problem. Now, on top of it, our mind will say go in the opposite direction. Or go in the direction where everyone else is going. Difficult. So Krishna has laid out the rules to balance between his mercy and our free will. So Krishna has given us the way, so whoever likes to take it up, they can take it up. And they can find their way back. Krishna himself will come, he will send his pure devotees, he will send the Shastras. Avatarahi asankhyeya, harer sattva nide dvisha. Yatra vidasana atulya sarasasyu sahasrasaha. It's given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Avatarahi asankhyeya. How often does Krishna appear? He asankhyeya. Sankhya means to count. Sankhya Yoga means to count, to analyze the 24 elements of the material world to see where is Krishna. He asankhyeya means you don't count, which means it's incountable. Aprameya also means karmani aprameyani. It's given in Srimad Bhagavatam. Supreme Lord's activities karmani aprameyani. Nobody can even understand. It's immeasurable. Who can't count? It's given Sureshwaraha, which means even Lord Brahma and Shiva, even they can't understand what Krishna is doing. That's how mystical Krishna is. Avatarahi asankhyeya. One cannot count how many avatars Krishna takes. In fact, it's given one of the two things which one should not bother counting, especially in Kali Yuga. One is how many avatars Krishna takes, and second one is how many mistakes people in Kali Yuga do. Both are incountable, immeasurable, aprameya. So that's how merciful Supreme Lord is, and that's how many times he comes. Repeatedly teaching us. So if we really want to understand what is Krishna's mercy, Krishna's instructions are his mercy. Because where will you draw the line otherwise? On one hand, Krishna doesn't want to interfere. If Krishna interferes, we will all be like robots, correct? At that time also we will fight with Krishna. Krishna, give us our freedom. Then Krishna says, let's go. Then we say, God has forsaken us. Come on. So the balance is, Krishna has given the siksha, the instructions, where those who still want to avoid Krishna and enjoy their free will, they can still continue to. And those who want to take up the process, they can. And by following the principle, their path will become predictable. Their happiness will get guaranteed. The purpose of life will be assured. On the other hand, those who don't take these rules seriously, regulations seriously, cutting the corner everywhere, then it's a problem. If you see the two sons of Kuvera, Manikriva and Nala Kuvera, when they offer, first of all, Krishna liberates them. They come out of Yamalarjuna trees and they offer beautiful prayers. And they say how Supreme Lord, out of his causeless mercy, even though they had no relationship with the Supreme Lord, he reciprocated with them simply because of their relationship with Narada Muni. Nothing extraordinary, mercy of Narada Muni coming in the form of a curse. But somehow they are connected to Narada Muni that way. But again, Prabhupada says, because pure souls, they always think about the well-being of all the living entities. There's no difference between their curse and blessing. And they say, my Lord, we have already wasted our life, but at least the rest of our life from now on. Again, if you see carefully, Krishna could have liberated them straight away. If he can liberate them from the tree back to the demigod form, how long it would have taken for them to actually be liberated? To go back to the spiritual world. No, Krishna wanted them to preach to the demigods, so he lets them go. But you can see clearly the mood with which they are receiving the mercy. And they are not saying, my Lord, I have already seen you, you have already promised me anyway, or promised us anyway, that we'll go back to Godhead. So we'll go there and have a good time in heavenly kingdom, and after we die, we'll go back to spiritual world. Is that what they desired? No. If you read their prayers, they say, my Lord, from now on, every activity that we actually do, may that be devotional service. May every word that we speak, may that be in glorification of you. May everything that we actually hear, may that be the pastimes of you. Drishti satam darshanestu bhavattanunam. May everything that we actually see with our eyes be your devotees. Surprise, surprise. They don't say, my Lord, may I actually see you everywhere. Pure devotees, right? They see Krishna everywhere. But no, they ask something very interesting there. Drishti satam. Satam means devotees. Darshanestu bhavattanunam. My Lord, may we always see, may our eyes be decorated with the sight of your devotees. So when we say follow the principle, it comes as a package. Not just doing our own personal sadhana. Not just doing deity worship. It also includes how we deal with the devotees. It also includes how we appreciate the devotees. It also includes how we take care of Krishna's property, keeping the temple clean. It also includes how we deal with guests of Krishna. Everyone is in relationship with Krishna. Somebody may be a devotee today, somebody may not be, but in future they may be. But if we think they are not devotees, so I can actually offend them, I can speak harsh words to them, even if somebody is a non-devotee, we will still have to go through. Again, principle of Vaishnava Aparad, principle of effect of Vaishnava Aparad. Nobody is exempted. Principle again. When the blessings of Brahmanas is so powerful, so much so that even Supreme Lord has to take an extra avatar to honor that. Correct? he has to take the form of Vamana to comply with that. Blessings of Brahmana. Converse is also has to be true, right? If one is correct, Vaishnava Aparad, which means it can be totally detrimental. That's what Shastras say. Hati Mata. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says this is like mad elephant. So, to demonstrate the power of the blessings of Vaishnavas, Krishna is taking an avatar. From that we can actually understand the principle of consequence of Vaishnava Aparad is also going to work on us negatively. Which means, if we really use our devotional intelligence, we should take 2 steps back. You can use the other door, Mataji. But we can go one step further. We can engage in service of the devotees. You know this famous story of Birbal. Akbar, once he has a competition, he says, you know that 2 lines he draws, parallel lines, and he says, competition here is, you have to make 1 line small without reducing its length. So how does Birbal solve that riddle? You want to make 2 lines which are equal length, one smaller in length than the other, but without reducing, which means he extends the other line, make it bigger. Bhaktichar Maharaj says this is how principle of dealing with the devotees also work. Everyone is same, but if you want to remain humble, you can't artificially say, my Lord, you know, I am lower than the straw in the street. Then give me a prasadam plate. Back. We can't artificially say. Prabhupada says anything that we do in Krishna consciousness has to be with substance. Sentiment, Prabhupada said it is something that Krishna has to give, but even not every sentiment is bona fide. Some sentiments are good. We are not supposed to cry in front of the Lord. It's an act of devotion. But we may think, I'll show my devotion by crying in front of the Lord. That's a violation of devotional principle. We are not supposed to. So, we follow in the footsteps of the previous acharyas. In regard to that, I was reading this morning, when Vamanadev comes, Bali Maharaj washes his feet. And he takes the water and puts it on his head. And Prabhupada is saying, Bali Maharaj at this point of time, when he did that, he was not a Mahajan yet. Bali Maharaj is also one of the 12 Mahajans. Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumaro, Kapilo, Manu, Prahlada, Janaka, Bhishma, Bali. Bali Maharaj is also one of the 12 Mahajans, but at this point of time when he is washing his feet, he is not a Mahajan yet. But Prabhupada is saying, but he is following one other Mahajan. And Prabhupada is saying, he is following Shiva. One of Shiva's name is Gangadhar. Dhara means one who is holding. Jaladhara means what? Cloud. Because cloud is holding water. Jaladharam. Jaladhara means cloud. Gadadhar means Krishna. He holds. What's Krishna's Gada's name? Kaumodaki. Okay, like that you will come across names. Murlidhar, one who is holding Murli. Chakradhar, one who is holding Sudarshan Chakra. Like that. Prabhupada says Shiva's name is Gangadhar. Why? Because he is holding Ganga on his head. So he is saying, Prahlad Maharaj, after washing the feet, he takes the water and following in the footsteps of one Mahajan, he sprinkles water on his head. Prabhupada is saying, by this act alone, by following another Mahajan, eventually he also becomes a Mahajan. So Prabhupada says, even when somebody comes to the pure devotional platform, they will still be following another authority. Does that make sense? So, Drishti Satam Darshanestu Bhavatanunam. Principles, whenever we come across in Shastras, hereafter you read, when you come across principle, to predictable result. If there is a principle, that means there is a certain orderliness. Follow. At red light, everyone has to stop. That's the principle. There will be some orderliness, there will be a predictable outcome. At red light, do whatever you like. There will be chaos everywhere. So every time we come across principle, let us understand this is how Krishna has balanced between his mercy and respect of our free will. Because if Krishna has to execute His will all the time upon us, we have to be like robots. That defeats the purpose of Him creating us. Krishna is Akila Rasamrita Murti. He wants to enjoy different mood, different mellow. Once one devotee, Prabhupada was just speaking to a group of devotees, and Prabhupada said, okay, you chant. And one devotee starts to sing, a nice tune. Then another devotee stops him. Prabhupada says, don't stop. You have your emotion, devotional emotion, you sing. You choose a tune accordingly. Prabhupada is encouraging. So there is individuality there. Definitely. But there's a principle also. Don't concoct mantras. Principle there is, you have to sing Hare Krishna. You can't fiddle with the mantra. Understand? So with everything, if you see, Krishna has balanced it nicely. So when we see principles, we should not see that as negative. We should not look at cutting the corner. Because the more you cut the corner, more the predictability will get compromised. That's the problem. We'll follow Krishna consciousness for a long time, but we won't get the result if we don't follow the principles. And everything that we do today, we have to understand it is a step towards our destination. If you take one step today, this is again another design of our mind which we very coolly use to cheat ourselves. We somehow think what I do today is disconnected to how my life is going to be tomorrow. Correct? This is okay, Prabhu. If you go to some temples, it's so crowded, you want to take darshan. And you know about law of karma. You know that if you do something wrong today, something wrong is going to come tomorrow. Still, somehow you will jump ahead of the queue, standing there thinking, today is disconnected to tomorrow. Krishna will actually understand my intention. Principles may actually be true, but not for me. Again, I'm just giving one example. But if you think about it, every single thing that we actually do today, it's going to affect our life tomorrow. To the extent that we are going to complicate the simple process, to that extent, the outcome will be complicated. To the extent that we are able to surrender to the process, following in the principles, as demonstrated by previous acharyas, as demonstrated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself, Srila Prabhupada, to that extent, result will be predictable. I'll stop here. Any questions or comments?
What's the meaning of these names? Some of them, they are easily predictable. It doesn't mention. What is the meaning of those? Shanti, we can understand.
I don't know the exact meaning. Are you asking the meaning of all those 12 cents? I don't know, Prabhuji. I don't know what Idaspati means, Idma. Definitely there is meaning, we just don't know. Some Puranas, they focus on a certain aspect, and you will find relatively some missing information, so to speak, because focus is not so much on that. But to resolve that, there may be references of this in some other Purana. So you will find some sections of Srimad Bhagavatam explained in, let's say, another version, for example, another Shastra. Like even Ramayana, you take a Shabari. Shabari's story is not in Valmiki Ramayana. You will come across like that. But then Shabari is given in some other version of Ramayana. But then there will be reference of, Lord Ram actually visiting a certain section or someplace event. Matanga Rishi's ashram, that's all the mention will be. There won't be any pastime. But with that you can infer. You can understand, okay, during this time, this is what the other Purana is saying, this has happened, okay. So you then reconcile both and then you understand. So Puranas, you are not going to get everything at the same place. As I said, focus is different. Bhagavata Purana focuses primarily on Bhakti. There are other Puranas that speak in more detail about different aspects. Even when Prabhupada was explaining about Vedic cosmology, in one room conversation, Prabhupada is saying, purpose of all of this is to understand and love Krishna. So if we keep that in the forefront of our mind, we'll understand. Look at what extent Krishna goes to facilitate our free will in this material world, creating so many planetary systems. How much loving he must be if this is the facility he makes for all the prisoners like us. With that, we can understand how loving he must be. So we can use the philosophical speculation there that way. Okay? Any other question? Okay, Prem Sir Prabhu. Last time I missed him. Prabhu said, Prabhu, you didn't ask for question. Yes.
Prabhu said, Bali Maharaj, he followed Shiva, then he become Mahayana. So now, if someone follow Bali Maharaj, then he become Mahayana.
Yes.
So pulling every day, Bali Maharaj follow Bali Maharaj, he is fully always washing the Lord feet.
Yes.
Become Mahayana.
100%. Prabhupada said, pujaris, they are given very, very special service of directly dealing with the Supreme Lord. And when they leave this planet, Prabhupada says, if they are purified enough, they will go directly to the spiritual world. That's why we need to be in good terms with our pujaris, especially head pujari, senior pujaris. Because whatever we tell them, they are the ones who is going to tell to Radha Gopinath, not us. We can't directly speak. So they are the inside circle. It's always good to have inside connections. So acharyas, they have inside connections. Pure devotees, they have inside connection with the Supreme Lord. Pujaris also. They know the mood of the Supreme Lord. They know what the Supreme Lord wants. Our position is to actually simply assist them, serve them, assist them in their service. Prabhupada says in one place, it's a good question. Prabhupada says in one place, I may be faulty, but the instruction is coming from supremely pure, from parampara it's coming. So I may be faulty, but because I am following this, I will also attain purity one day. This is Prabhupada's point. Okay, we are not qualified, but we are getting instruction from the right source. We simply execute that higher order. Prabhupada uses that term also. Higher order. Simply by executing the higher order, Prabhupada is saying, I will also attain success one day. Many places, once Prabhupada was even asked by a reporter, Swamiji, are you perfect? Prabhupada says, no, I am not perfect. But my Guru Maharaj is perfect. I am following his instruction properly, that is my perfection. So to become a Mahajana, that's why Mahajanayana Gata Sapanta, it's given. Tarko Pratishta Shruti Vipinnam, Nasham Rishi Rishi Matam Napinnam, Dharmasya Tattvam, Nihitam Guhayam, Mahajanayana Gata Sapanta, it's in Mahabharata. If you have to follow pure devotees, it's very hard, very inconceivable to directly understand the activities of pure devotees. So what we should do is, we should simply follow in the footsteps of the previous devotees. How sincerely they have done. There are so many devotees who have walked this path. That's the sannyas mantra in ISKCON. Etam sahastaya paratmanishtam adyasitam purna tamay maharishibi. Aham tarishami durantaparam tamam mukundangri nishaveva. There are so many people who have taken up to the shelter of service of Shri Radha Gopinath. Correct? In last 52 years, 53 years. So many have gone back to Godhead also. Even from dairy department. Lakshmi Mataji, she used to make the best wigs, and that's her only service. Two things she'll do. Evening she'll come, go finish her service, dipping geese, keeping it. Till date I'm actually saying, there's no comparison, no competition. Nobody matches her standard. The ghee wigs will be perfect, it'll look like a cookie. That's how nicely she'll arrange in a box. After that she'll come out, you see that bowl where pujaris used to wash the shanka. She'll take that and the Charnamrita hand wash bowl, wash, keep everything ready. That's all she was doing. At least as long as I have seen her. And when I came to Krishna consciousness, I have seen her doing. And devotees I asked, they said she has been doing since long. Nobody knows. And that's all she was doing. So we have seen instances of devotees doing simple service and they are actually attaining perfection. We can also do. We can stick to one service, whatever our authority asks us to do, and we simply do. That's all. That's our perfection. Okay? So yes, pujaris are also following Bali Maharaj. That's a good observation. Yeah. Yeah. Good question. So this is past time that happened in Sydney during Prabhupada's very first visit. Prabhupada once is seated in Paddington Temple and then he overhears Upendra Prabhu speaking to another devotee about a third devotee. And Prabhupada calls and he says, Upendra, don't do Prajalpa. And then he says, Prabhupada, I was talking about devotees. Does this come under Prajalpa? Then Prabhupada says, talking anything other than Krishna comes under Prajalpa. Then Upendra Prabhu says, yes Prabhupada, then I am doing Prajalpa. Sorry, I won't do. So question here is, on one hand, here we come across many instances where devotees are actually talking about others, and we read in Srimad Bhagavatam, or even Manikriv Nalakuvera's prayer, Drishti Satam. My Lord, may my eyes, they are not even asking, may my eyes take darshan of you, they are saying, may my eyes take darshan of your devotees. How can somebody misuse this? I won't even go to temple. Prabhuji, just come and show me your face. Or Mataji, come and show me your face. No. Little learning is a dangerous thing. My Guru Maharaj says we have to always take a moderate stance in everything. Prabhupada says our level of vairagya should be based on our level of progress. We can't imitate somebody's level of advancement when it comes to following vairagya, for example. Somebody may be able to just give up everything and then, take up sannyas. Or somebody may be able to give up everything, give up family, and take up the full-time devotional service, even as a Grahastha couple, for example. Prabhupada says one should renounce based on their level of advancement. So coming to your question, Prabhupada here he understands, talking, already we are all conditioned souls. None of us are pure devotees. Let us be honest with ourselves. Do you really believe somebody talking about us is going to give them devotional security? No, correct? Most likely more offenses will come to their mind. That devotee, him, he was chanting louder. He didn't give me second pakora, He didn't give me mridanga. That's what most likely people will think. Correct? So we don't qualify as somebody worthy to be remembered, somebody worthy to be talked about. This is our level. So if somebody talks about us, we know where they are going to go. Most likely to hellish planet. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami says this, right? At the time when he starts writing Chaitanya Charitamrita, I am so fallen, whoever even utters my name once, what will they do? They will lose all their punya. That's what he says. Will anyone dare to say my name like that? Normally when you fight with someone else, you may actually say this, don't you dare talk about me. Like that you say, actually that's the biggest benediction. Please don't talk about me. And waste your time and fall down. Bhagavatam speaks about discussions of pure devotees. Then, yes, this name Parameshwara, associate of Nityananda Prabhu. Chaitanya Charitamrita says he is so pure, whoever recites his name once, let us say once, Parameshwara, Parameshwara. Let's do one more time, Parameshwara. Whoever says this, you will get love of God here. That's what Chaitanya Charitamrita is saying. He is associate of Nityananda Prabhu. So, discussions about devotees means discussions about pure devotees of the Lord. Not any devotee like us. We can be honest. Correct? What will anyone gain talking about us? What will anyone gain talking about one other conditioned soul? That comes under Prajalpa. Okay? We'll stop here. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Shri Shri Radha Gopinath Bhagwan ki Jai, Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Jai, Shri Shri Gauranitai ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Samaved Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki Jai, Jai Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Shri Guru and Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.